DBM, Educational Charitable and Management Society, New Delhi, and as a member of International Career Counselors Club. He has been the global president of International Council for Educational Research, as well as an international executive officer under Eudoxia Research Center, former member of Global Research Foundation, and former principal of Nepal DBM Global Academy. He has also been a lecturer of JMC Itahari, Nepal. Sir has conducted several trainings and workshops and has around 4 international paper presentations. He is keenly interested in volunteering for social and humanitarian work, as well as participation in youth, children, and backward people upliftment work. Sir, I would now like to request our honorable resource person, Mr. Benu Prasad Satala, to take over the session. Over to sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, the family member of Prime publishers and participants from different parts of the country, and greeting from Nepal and namaste. Before launching the today's presentation, going to my presentation, easy way to write a research paper. I want to go little background of the research paper, and I want to reorganize the ideas, what is the research paper and how research come into existence. Only then I'll go forward. You know, human being is the most intelligent creature of the universe. Is the development of mind and creative thinking of human being is superior than rest of the creature in the universe. He is able to think, communicate, use of advanced language, debate, can have a logic, and able to share the feeling and concept in the memory and reuse them in needed. We have been using our consciousness in the high level since the origin of civilization. In the process of curiousness to know new incidents and searching the cause behind it, we are able to explore new knowledge and new secret of the world. The process of searching new and truth fact has been started from the primitive communism. They were curious about earth, sun, light, air, planets, and from other things. Answering the secret of questions like why, how, where, and who, many have discovered new and advanced knowledge. While searching knowledge, they were able to find truth of many things and fields. They discovered many things. Due to investigate and hunger of knowledge, they were able to find, and even unanswered questions, they were able to answer. Thus, this devotion of human being and searching of the truth practically is the origin of research. Actually, if I say research is nothing, research is only answer the questions we want to. Suppose if you are not feeling well, you just search the causes behind it. Your friends are not too well or unfriendly to you. You also search the reason behind it. So searching this reason behind of any subject is the research, so far as I think. This we are going to discuss over here. Actually, it is only 1 hour webinar, and it is quite difficult among us to know everything and many things within this one hour. But within this 1 hour, I will make you understand what are the outlines of research paper, what are the headings, what are the sub-headings, and how to write in under headings and sub-headings. What are the tips, easy tips to write these things I will naturally teach you over here. And after completing this webinar 1 hour session, actually my full course is about 7 days, and each day I'll have 2 hours, and we'll have practically go during these 7 days. Multiply by 2 means 14 hours. If you if you come and share ideas with me, and we have a interaction within this 14 hours, I'll tell you that naturally I will make you to write a simple research subject as you like. Let's begin. So as I have already told you, what is research? Research. That one is re and the another is search. Re means again and search means to look after, to find out the answer of anything. Re means once more, or afresh, or new, or back with return to a previous state. Search means to look through or go over thoroughly, to look something or examine to find out anything concealed. Yes, research means to find out the answer of any questions with scientific observation and finding the data and answering everything systematically. This is the research. Actually, the first thing and brainstorming of the research is how to select the topic of a research paper. Yes, any scholar, any academician, they want to write a research paper. Then at first, they have to have a brainstorming to find out the topics. Finding out topics is not an easy task. It is a complex, it is a difficult, but I am going to make you very easier and very simple. Actually, in which topic you are going to write a research paper, you try to find out only 4 P's. The first P is people, second P is a problem, third P is a program, and fourth P is a phenomenon. Among these 4 P's, you can find out the topics of your research paper. If you go through the people, then you can select the individual people, organization of the people, group of the people, committees of the people. In the same way, if you just try to write your research paper, selecting any problem, then under the problem, issues, situation, association, needs, population, politics, and so on. These are the subtopics. They come under the problems, and these problems can be also your topic of a research paper. If you select any program, there are different programs around the world. For example, contents, structure, outcomes, services, health, education. These are also the programs, and these programs can be the topics of your research paper. And the fourth P is phenomenon, cause and effect relationship, and study of the phenomenon itself. This also can be the topics of a research papers. Yes, this is the first task. You have to decide in which topic you are going to write a research paper. This is the first thing you have to find out. Then the second thing is you have to make an outline in a research paper. You have to make an outline in a research paper. Only constructing the outline, only then you can write a research paper very easily, simple way, in a faster way. Then the question arises, what is an outline in a research paper? Actually, it is a general description or a plan showing the essential feature of something, but it is not a detailed description. It is a draw or a kind of trace or define the outer shape of something. It is said that an outline is a helpful guide in organizing your paper. Outline give the structure of your work and to show the relationship and hierarchy within your content. An outline is formal system used to develop a framework of something about what should be the organization and eventual concept of paper. It helps to predict the overall structure and follow the paper. Actually, outline is just like our skeleton, a human skeleton or animal skeleton on which the whole physics is structured. It is defined as a simple format and a tool that helps the researcher to put their ideas and thoughts in a proper and scientific methods. It is just like a blueprint of building on which the structure is made according to its format. As I have already mentioned there just like a skeleton or the blueprint of the building. You know, whatever the blueprint of a building, the building is structured on that blueprint in the same way. Likewise, whatever outline you make in a research paper, the whole research paper, the whole description of the paper, the whole investigation also goes through that outline. It is a limitation, it is a boundary, it is known as a boundary also, and not a less than, not a more than. Without the following the outline, research paper is meaningless. Process of outline done after the research is completed, and one is here very important thing. Outline is both science and art. It is a science because there is a system, and there is the rules, and there is the regulation. That is why it is a science, and it is art because it makes your research paper meaningful and beautiful. Thus, we can say it is both science and art. Now, the question arises, what are the advantages of outline? Why to make outline? Why the researchers need an outline? What is of it? Then there are some advantages. The first advantage is the focus. When there is the outline, the researchers pay attention to focus the writing. An outline helps the researchers focus their attention. They do not have any confusion where to write what. It is a clear-cut roadmap from start through the and to the end. Yes, I have already told you. After making the outline, the researchers can go from the first step to last step without any confusion. Then second advantage of outline is the faster writing. Outlining naturally helps the researchers to write more quickly, more effectively, because they have already decided what to write where and what to write next. Yes, every researcher want to finish their research paper in a certain period of time, perhaps a limited period of time. And if there is outline, that outline helps him to make the heading and subheading, and the researcher has to write under this heading and subheading. He do not have any confusion. He can write proving the topics he has decided, so it makes him write the research paper fast. Third advantages of outline is follow of information systematically. You know, systematically following the information is very necessary. Systematically, information means it must be in order. From just completed one topics, then start the second topics, that completing, then start the third topics, and this is known as the systematically, not random. If the writing is systematically, the reader, it can draw the attention of the reader, and it can draw the attention of your supervisor if supervisor is also present or necessary in your research paper. But if your writing is not systematically, then no one wants to read your research paper, so it is highly necessary. Outline makes the writing is an organized way that follows the information systematically, which makes the reader understand the matter easily. Moreover, systematic arrangement makes the presentation also beautiful. And the fourth advantage of outline is makes transition smoother. Transition means the meaning of the first line and the second line, and the meaning of the first paragraph and second paragraph is known as the transition between these paragraphs and between these two lines. Transition of words and sentences between the lines and paragraphs play the vital role to attract the attention of the reader. They always try to see the relation between the points and lines. Outline of writing a research paper helps make a smooth transition to the researcher, as they have already decided what to the next sentence or what to the next paragraph or what to the next point. Balanced writing is also advantage of outline of a research paper. Balanced writing means write the paragraph or write the sentences in the minimum, not less than or not more than necessary. Reviewing an outline makes it easy to determine if the right amount of emphasis is placed on each topic. Simple enough. Researchers might find that they need to move things around to get right balance, or perhaps they will decide to remove an unnecessary information. Balance means if the researcher has written unnecessary information, unnecessary volume of paragraphs, he might delete and remove this thing from his paragraphs, and it makes the writing balance. Maintaining order and hierarchy is another advantages of outlining of a research paper. Outline itself has an order, thus it helps the writing research paper in order. The generalization of its pattern makes each researcher present the research in the same order form, thus there is the uniformity in presentation. Yes, this is another advantage. Whenever we read the research of different researchers, we found that the topics and subtopics comes in the order, not in a random way, and the research paper is written in uniformity way. This is because of making the outline. And strengthening the writing is another advantages of outline. An outline has different topics and subtopics. The researcher has to present his views in a small and organized topic. Naturally, the writing is strong. No use of unnecessary words and sentences. This we have already discussed previous also. Now we are the second point, general outline of a research paper. We have discussed about the outline. What is the outline? What is known as outline, and what are the advantages and importance of outline? Why the researchers make outline in a research paper? We have discussed. Actually, we have not discussed. I have given some tips to you. As I have already told you, we do not have a time for discuss. We have a limited time, only 1 hour webinar. That is why in this webinar I am presenting only the tips for you that will helpful for you. And general outline, these are the outlines of a research paper, and every researcher has to consider and pay attention on this outline. These outlines, main outlines are title and affiliation, abstract and keywords, introduction, literature review, methodology, result and discussion, conclusion, appendices and references. These are the common outline to be made while writing the research paper. Now the first outline is a title. It means how to write a title in a research paper. What is the title and where to write a title? You know, title is written in the cover page. It is the first thing to be written in every research paper. The researcher has to pay attention while writing the title, because as I have already told you, it is the first written thing in a research paper. So we know first impression is the last impression. So writing title in a scientific way, in an attractive way, can attract the attention of the reader. So the researchers pay attention while writing a title. I have given some very simple tips how to write a title in a cover page. Must complete in limited words, perhaps not more than 8 to 15 words. The first thing. If the title is very longer, if the title is long with many words and phrases, on the one hand, it is quite difficult to read the title in a certain period of time, in a limited time. And at the other end, it is quite difficult to find out the meaning also. What is written inside the research paper must be reflected in the title page. So the title must not be very longer. You must try to complete it with the 8 to 15 words. Properly connected to subject matter. What subject matter you have mentioned in your research paper, that must be connected, that must be reflected in your title page or from your title. And you have to use single phrases, and grammatically correctness is another basic importances to be considered while writing title page. Because if there is a grammatical mistake in a title page, the meaning may be different. So correctness is highly necessary, and another feature of a title page is properly capitalization. Here, capitalization means actually in a title page, the first letter of the word must be in capital. Every first letter of the word must be capital. It is the style of writing title page. Now, in the title page, there is another significant writing, that is author and affiliation. Author means the researcher who got researched the paper is the author, and affiliation means in which institution is he just affiliated or belong. That must be written in the title page. And there are different ways of writing author and affiliation, because author and affiliation itself also sometimes different, because sometimes there is only one author, and sometimes two authors, sometimes three authors, and sometimes more than three authors. In the same way, affiliation is also different. Sometimes there is only one author, but his affiliation is two or more than two. In the same way, sometimes two authors and their affiliation is sometimes the same or sometimes more than two. So whatever the affiliation of the authors, the way of writing is the different. For example, if there is only one author and his only affiliation, we can write name of the author and below this is affiliation. Name of the author and below this is affiliation. And suppose there are two authors and they belong to same institution. They have only one affiliation. In that case, we have to write name of the author and name of the author. First author and second author. And below this, their affiliation. Because both authors are affiliated in same institution here. In the same way, if there are three authors and they belong to same affiliation, they belong to same institution, in that case we have to write name of the author, comma, name of the second author and name of the third author, and below this we have to write their affiliation. Because they belong to same affiliation here, then you have to write only one affiliation. Here is an example: John T. Trailer, comma, George Kotler and Dennis G. Parker, University of California, California, Berkeley. Because this University of California, same affiliation of three authors. And sometimes there are two authors and two affiliation. If there are two authors and they belong to different affiliation, different institutions, how to write in this case? Writing this case is also very easy. You can write like this also. I have not mentioned another way. The name of first author, then the name of second author, the name of first author and the name of second author, and below this you can write the first author's affiliation and second author's affiliation. There is another way to write two authors and two affiliation. Here is a given example. First author's name, his affiliation, second author's name and his affiliation. In this way also we can write, and it is a very considerable factors while writing in the cover page. Now we are coming to the point of abstract. Abstract is very important part of your writing in a research paper because it play a vital role. How much you have written in your research paper, no matter how many pages, how many topics, all these writings must be reflected in your abstract. You have to pay attention on that. And moreover, your abstract should not be very longer. Your abstract should not be very longer. It should be about 200 to 250 words. You have to complete your abstract writing from 200 to 250 words. Then 3 to 5 keywords also very necessary. If I say in a page, then one page will be sufficient to write the abstract of your research paper. I have provided you some tips how to write abstract in your research paper. Very simple. The first one is prepare your abstract only after completing your research paper. Yes, it is the very most important thing. Without completing your research paper, you cannot write abstract. If you think I'll finish the abstract first, then I'll write the research paper, you are wrong. So the first tip is this one. The second tip, collect remarkable points from your introduction part, from your methodology part, from your finding and conclusion part. First you have to collect some remarkable part, means the most important parts that you think in this section. After collecting the most important points from these parts, you have to arrange all the collected main points from all sections systematically. Yeah, just what points you have collected, that must be arranged in a systematically in a paragraph. And follow the sequence, not a random way. The important points you collected from the introduction or from the methodology, from the result and discussion, and from the conclusion, these must go hierarchy way. These must go in order, not randomly. The first important point from the introduction first, then the important point from the methods, then important point from the result and discussion, then important point from the conclusion. They go orderly in a systematic way like this. And you have to remember that never add new and unnecessary information in the abstract part. No needed for you to describe this, to elaborate it. No necessary to write new words and unnecessary words. That makes your abstract very longer. As I've already told you, it must be completed within one page and about 200 to 250 words. And after completing writing the abstract, you have to revise once or twice, because there may be grammatical mistake, there may be an arrangement of sentences, there may be other mistakes. You have to check once or twice. And if you check and you are quite satisfied with your abstract, then you can get feedback from your supervisor, from your friends, or from your seniors. That will be helpful to you. And if you get feedback, and then if there is even some mistakes, then you can correct this. Now we are coming to the chapter 1. It is a introduction chapter. Introduction chapter is also very important part of your abstract. And introduction chapter is also not so longer. And I have given some tips there what to be written in the introduction chapter of your research paper. Actually, what is introduction chapter? An introduction is the first paragraph of a written research paper, or the first thing you say in an oral presentation, or the first thing people see, hear, or experience about your project. The introduction gives the reader to beginning of the piece of thread, so they can follow it. So there are the tips also. In introduction section, you have to write brief background and information about your topics. So the gaps of the study. Here, gaps of the study means in next slide we'll read about literature review. Gaps of the study is necessary, that will be discussed in the literature review also. You should write the sentence in active voice. Should appropriate and strong verb. Strong verb means here that verbs can draw the attention of the reader and your supervisor very easily. You have to very sincere while using the verbs in your introduction section. Then be careful about the first person pronoun. You cannot write first person pronoun like I and we. You cannot start the sentence I will do this, or I had done this. I had collected the data from this way and that way. You cannot write this. because you have to consider, in this case, you are the researcher and you are the not a first person pronoun, you are the third person pronoun. If a pronoun is necessary to be written, you have to write third person pronoun, not a first person pronoun. Then the last tips is organize ideas, simple to complex, past to present, and known to unknown. There are some headings that should be included in the introduction section. These are background of the study, statement of the problem, objective of the study, research question, rationale of the study, importances of the study, hypothesis, delimitation, and definition of the terms. So, my dear friend, I have written only the points over here, and I have not. I am not going to discuss these points because I have already told you that we will have a 7 days workshop, and if I'll have opportunity to launch this workshop, I will detailedly discuss on this point. I have given only the outline, the topics and subtopics, and you must remember that in every research paper, in every researchers, he has not used all these subheadings and outline in his research papers, because these headings are subjected to be written according to the nature and objectives of a research paper. That is why in some research paper we find all these subheadings and outlines, but in other research paper, among these outlines, some outlines are also used. As I have already told you, this depends upon the nature and objectives of the research paper. Now we are in the next chapter. This is chapter 2. This is the literature review. Yes, literature review is a very complex task, and so far as I know, many new researchers and new scholars, they find very difficult to write a literature review because they think it is a complex task. Yes, it is a complex and it is very difficult also, problematic also. But if you follow my 3 tips over here, it will be very easier for you. You can immediately write a literature review within 2 days or 3 days. Just you have to follow my tips. The first tip is to collect the journal. You have to collect the journal, research paper, and needed documents according to your need. I have not mentioned how many journals, how many research papers, and how many books, and how many other things I have not mentioned over here. This depend upon your interest, and this depend upon the objectives and nature of your research papers. You can collect this journal and research paper from different parts, from your friends, from your supervisor, from your campus, from your institution, and from the library, and from the market also. You can get these materials. And after collecting these materials, the first thing is you have to collect these materials, and the second thing is, after collecting these materials, you have to go through the collected materials. You have to read once or twice. While you are reading, you have to make a summary. You have to make a list. For example, serial number, name of the paper or title of the paper, what you have read, title of the paper, and name of the author who wrote that paper, and year of the publication, in which year the articles or the journals you read was published. Then you have to write a methodology. What methodology, what methods, which design of research the researcher, the former researcher are used in his research paper, that you have to include. Then you have to find out the strength and weakness. You just a serial number, title of the paper, name of the author, year of the publication, and methodology. These all 5 things you can find in your collected research paper. You yourself can find from your collected research paper. The last thing you have to write, what is the strength and weakness of the research paper you have read, that you have to write, you have to make a summary. That is very necessary for you. The first thing, if you do this, then easily you can write the literature review. In the second step, I will tell you. Then try to find out the gap of the knowledge. This is the main thing you are going to explore in your research paper. In the research paper, which research paper you have read, then the research you are going to do. So what is the gap of the knowledge between this paper? You try to find out reading your collected research paper. Then it's the turn of writing a research paper. Now it is very easy. If you make a summary, if you made a list of the collected research paper after going through it, I mean after reading, then writing a literature review is very easy. And you have to consider that literature review should not be very longer. It should be completed within 3rd to 4th paragraph. In the first paragraph, you have to write background of the topic. In the second paragraph, you have to describe the other categories and methods used. And in the third paragraph, you have to write the studies related to your research. In what ways the collected materials help your research. So what is the connection between these? Then you have to write this. Then within 3rd to 4th paragraph, you have to complete your literature review. So if you follow my tips, it will be very helpful for you. Then easily you can write the literature review in your research paper. Now we are in the chapter 3, that is a methodology chapter. Methodology means, in a simple sense, in this chapter, you have to write what and how you did in your while writing your research paper. These 2 things you have to write. What did you do and how did you do? What did you do and how did you do? You have to answer all these 2 questions in the methodology section. Actually, research methodology is a specific procedure or technique used to identify, select, process and analyze information about a topic. In a research paper, the methodology section allows the reader to critically evaluate a study's overall validity and reliability. And moreover, this methodology section is also divided into different outlines, just like research design, population and size, population sampling and method, types of data, data collection methods, tools for data collection, and analysis of data. These are the outlines of methodology section. While we are talking about research design, we have to write which type of design you have used over there. There are different types of research design we found, and some of them are qualitative research design, quantitative research design, mixed research design, experimental research design, and historical research design. And there are different types of research design. You have to mention over here which type of research design you have included in your research paper. Then we are coming to population size and population insights. While we are talking about population insights, I have got this chart somewhere, and I'm going to share with you. This makes you very easy to understand about the population and its size. Who do you want to generalize to? This is your theoretical population. Then what population can you get access to? This is your study population. How can you get access to them? This is your sampling population or sampling frame. And who is in your study? This is your sample population. Next, we are coming to a sample size. Means sampling, our sampling. I mentioned here 2 types of sampling, probability sampling and non-probability sampling. This probability random samples is also divided into 4 parts: simple random sample, systematic random sample, stratified random sample, and cluster random sample. We are not discussing these different types of sample over here because we do not have a longer time, enough time. Later, if we have again opportunity, then we'll discuss in your next session and next classes in our next workshop. And non-probability sampling, convincing samples, non-probability convincing sampling, quota sampling, judgment sampling, and Snowball sampling. I have given some only examples. I am not going to detail on about this sampling also. Now let's come to the methods of primary data collection. Actually, the methods of data collection, if we discuss about the methods of the data collection, there are two types of methods. One is primary data and the second one is secondary data. Primary data means those data which this researcher himself collect by himself with the observation, interview, questionnaire and schedule. This is known as primary data, and these are the methods of primary data collection also. Then we are in the methods of secondary data. Secondary, I guess I will told you, primary data is collected by researchers himself, and the secondary data means actually he himself collects, but he uses others examples and from different sources. For example, various publication of the central and state government, various publication of foreign governments and institutions, technicals, trade and journals, book, magazine and newspaper, reports and publication of universities and institutions, census report, reports prepared by research scholar. Researcher must ensure the reliability, suitability and adequacy of secondary data. Now we are in the result and discussion section. Actually, I have we found everywhere result and discussion in the same chapter and same outline, but these are different. Result is different and discussion is different. We are talking here about only the result. Result, in the result section, you have to present what you have found. You do not write here in your opinion, an argument. You have to show here what you have found in your research. There are some tips. Key outcomes of your study must be presented in the result section. A statistical analysis that represent the significance that must be presented in the result section. A visual representation of your data using figures, tables and graphs whenever possible. This is also presented in the result section. And try to present result according to the order of your objectives. Yes, in the introduction section we discuss the sub outline of the introduction was objective also. Objectives may be 1, 2 or 3, and while presenting the result, you have to present the result accordance with your objectives. The result of the first objectives you have to present first, and the result of the second objectives you have to present second. This is the order of presenting result. Then this is the discussion section. In discussion section you can use your argument. You can interpret also. You can show strong and weakness also in the discussion section. And here are some simple tips to write a discussion section in a research paper. You have to address the problem, started your introduction, review your finding in the context of supporting literature and existing knowledge, critically analyze your result, include future research direction in your discussion, avoid repeating information given in the introduction, and derive conclusion unless the journal requires it to be a discrete section. Now, we may be in confusion. What is the difference between result and discussion? So I am going to share one chart, result versus discussion. What to be written in the result section and what to be written in the discussion section. Every researcher must know about this. In the result section, you can include experimental data, but not the interpretation, as I've already told you. But in the discussion section, you can explain any surprising, unexpected, or inconsistent results. In the result section, you can use incorporate statistical analysis where applicable. But in the discussion section, you can add list all the major findings of your study. In the same way, in the result section, you have to follow sequential organization when presenting data. But in a discussion section, you have to interpret and explain the findings effectively. In the same way, in the result section, you have to include texts, figures, and tables. But in the discussion section, you have to mention limitation, if any, you find in your research. In the same way, in the result section, you have to avoid speculations. But in the discussion section, you have to relate to what others have done also. So these are the clear-cut differences between result section and discussion section. Now we are in the conclusion section. Actually, what is conclusion? Conclusion is the last part of your research paper that you have to write and you have to include. Yes, we have 2 more chapter again, but this chapter has another meaning. But while writing the research paper, your attention to write the things is only up to conclusion. That you have to write conclusion considering the many things. Actually, I have given some tips also over there. If I say the conclusion is intended to help the reader understand why their research should matter to them after they have finished reading the paper. A conclusion is not merely a summary of your points for each statement of research problem, but a synthesis of the key points. This is the main thing. It is the synthesis of key points. This is the joining of key points. The theme of writing the conclusion is restate your research topic, restate the thesis, summarize the main points, state the significance of result, and conclude your thoughts. This is the tips to write the conclusion part. Now the next outline of research paper is a appendix. Actually, what is appendix? An appendix contains supplementary materials that is not an essential part of the text itself, but which may be useful in providing a more comprehensive understanding of the research problem, and is information which to cumbersome to be included in the body of the paper. In the appendix, we can add some. We can keep some chart, photographs, paragraphs, tables. These are not included in the main part of the research paper, and we do not have rule to keep these things in a research paper. So we have to keep these things in the appendix sections. So what to keep in the appendix section? Text or paragraphs, graphs or chart, examples with images, photographs and illustrations, drawings, diagrams and maps, links to websites, and list of suggested readings that are to be kept in the appendices, so that the reader or your supervisor can read this, can find this, and know these are also included in the research paper. Now the last part of the research paper is the references. References is the section that is the place where the researchers should not write any new thing, should not write his argument, should not write his ideas, but this is the place where he himself proved that he is honest. His honesty is proved in the research section. We know that writing research paper is a decent type of cheating. It is not a cheating, but it is a decent type of cheating. It is a high level of cheating. Yes, every researchers get some ideas from different journals, from different publications, from different books, from different newspaper, different films and other things. They have to quote sometimes one sentence, sometimes the whole paragraphs. They have to quote. They have to abstract from there. But honestly, they have to write these things in the recent reference section that they have quoted these things from others journals, others publication and other research. They have to write this in the research part. In the research part, mainly they have to write the name of the author, and name of the publication, name of the book, name of the journal. Like this, they have to include over here. But the way of writing, method of writing is different. If the researcher has used book, the way of writing in the research section is different. If he has used or abstracted some of the ideas from the journal, the writing of the methods of writing this in the research section is another. So I have just forwarded some points and some tips how to write references in the reference sections. And to given these examples, I just consulted APA format 7th edition. So from there I have abstracted these things and I've got these ideas I am going to share with you. Number one, a scholarly journal article with a data object identifier. If there is a do your number, then how to write this in a reference section? First, name of the author, then date of publication, then title of the article, then volume number, then issue number and page number. This is the formula or this is the method to write this in a reference section. For example, Smith, J.A. Brown, R.W. and Rocks and M. This is the name of the author. 2012, this is the date of publication. How to create an APA reference page? This is the title of article. And 22, this is a volume number. And 1, it is in post, it is a issue number. And 63 to 70, this is a page number. And do your number 1, 0, ... This is the dual number. Next, if there is not a dual number, without a dual number, we have just seen how to write the reference having a dual number, and this is the another thing without a dual number. Everything is similar, but here is not a dual number. Here is the website address. In that case also, author name, date of publication, title of article, then volume number, issue number and page number. Then here retrieve from, this is the address of the website. The example, Smith, J.A. Brown, R.W. Rocks, M. This is the author name. 2012, this is the date of publication. How to create an APA reference page? This is the title of article. And 22, this is the volume number. 1, this is the issue number. And 63 to 72, this is a page number. And address of website is also given here. Then, if the researchers use website article or just he abstracted the ideas from the website, some lines, some paragraphs he has taken from the websites, then how to write this in a reference page? The methods of writing is also the same as we have discussed previously. Here is also author name, date of publication, title of the document, then website name. For example, Smith J. Brown, R.W. and Rokes M. This is the author name. 2012. This is the date of publication. How to create an APA reference page. This is the title of the document, and then this is the address of website. In the same way, if the researcher has used the book and he abstracted some of the ideas, some of the lines or some of the paragraph from the book, then how to write this? The methods of writing is like this. First, author name, date of publication, title of the book, and location and publisher. For example, Smith J. Brown, R.W. and Rokes M. This is the name of the author. 2012. This is the date of publication. Mastering APA style. This is the title of a book. Then format references citation. New York NY. This is the location, and Cambridge University Press. This is the name of the publication or publisher. And if some chapter from the entitled book is abstracted or chapter is taken as idea, then how to write this in a reference section? Actually everything is same, but there is a little difference over here. Writing the chapter in an edited book. Author name, year of publication, title of the chapter. First we have read title of the book, but here is title of the chapter, and the title of book also must be over here. Then pages of chapter, from which page the chapter is taken, and location and publisher. Other thing is same over here also. Then sometimes the researchers get some ideas from the film also. Then how to write this in a reference section? First we have to write producer, then director, and date of publication, title of the motion, then country of origin, and studio of or the distributor. For example, Grazer B. Hallowell T. This is the producer. Howard R. This is the director. 2001. This is the date of publication. A Beautiful Mind. This is the title of motion. United States. This is the country in which this film was made, and Universal Picture. This is the name of the studio or the distributor. In this way, the researcher can show his honesty in the section of references. Now, the next outline, tenses used in different topics. Tenses are also very important. They also play the vital role, because the tense, when to use the past tense, if you use the present tense or use the future tense, the meaning will be differences. So in which chapter what tense should be used, I have given some tips over here. For example, chapter 1 is the introduction chapter. So combination of present and past tense should be used over here. But however, chapter 2 is the literature review, should be in the past tense, since they are those previous works that have been concluded. Or should we use present tense in the literature review, because the result have become the truth. Chapter 3, past tense. Chapter 4, combination of present tense and past tense. And chapter 5, present tense. Now, factors to be considered while making outlines in a research paper. I have written some points here. They must be discussed, but in our other outlines, it was quite difficult for me to mention these points, so I have mentioned here separately. There are some other points you have to consider while writing your research paper. Use the past tense while referring to the research process. Methodology, we have already discussed in the methodology, only past tense. Use the full spelling when using the acronyms for the first time. When you are using acronyms in the first time, you have to use full spelling, not in short form. Write numbers less than 10 and even fraction in the full spelling. If there are the different numbers less than 10 or in the fraction form, you cannot write the in the digit, but you have to write in alphabet. For example, here is 7. You cannot write 7, but you have to write S-E-V-E and 7. But if these numbers are more than 10, then you can write in digit. For example, 18%. For complex and statistical formula, mention only the conclusion. That means in your while you are writing the result, then a statistical formula is not necessary. In the conclusion section, you have to write only the outcomes. The size of the paper should be 1.5 into 11 inch, and the weightage should be 13 to 16 pound, and you have to leave 1.5 inch margin in all sides. Do not put half words at the end. If you put half words in the end, it is quite difficult to read and to get the meaning also. So it should not be written. Double space typing is necessary. Put direct quotation of 14 words or less in inverted comma. Means if you are quoted 40 or less than 40 words, then you can write in a inverted comma in the paragraph. But if you are quoted more than 14 words, it is written more than that in separate paragraphs, but do not use inverted comma. If you quoted 14 words, you write in an inverted comma. But if you quoted more than 14 words, then you have to write in a paragraph and do not write inverted comma. Quote source page number when quoting direct first. Quote source from where you get this, then which page number you have to write in the first. Mention the page number in the upper right page. This is the way of writing page number of your research paper. If no digit before decimal, write 0 before it. While you are writing the digit, for example, decimal 1, decimal 8, decimal 7, you should not write only decimal 1 or decimal 8. You have to put 0 before it. Here is one example, 0 decimal 8. Do not use gender, ethnic and discriminatory terminology in your report. While you are writing the research paper, you have to pay attention on the gender issue, ethnic issue, and discriminatory issue. Because if you mention these things in your research paper, there may be some conflict. In some cases, your research paper may be rejected. So you must consider for this. If the material to be thanked is added and analyzed, the author's last name and the source should be mentioned only in the year of publication. For example, Bhattrai 2070. Mentioning the source of two authors refers to the surnames and published years of same authors like this, Baral and Limbu 2068. While quoting sources of 3 or more authors, write surname first and year of publication last. If the same year, the publication is the same, then you have to write at last. Baral, Limbu, Maharjan and Basal 2070. There are Baral, Limbu, Maharjan and Basal 4 authors, and the date of publication is same. When quoting the source from different authors of the same surname, mention the first letter and surname of the initial name. For example, if there are two Smith and one is A. Smith and another is B. Smith, and you have to write A. Smith first and B. Smith second, alphabetically order you have to write. If the sources published on different dates from the same authors are to be cited in the same place, the author's last name and the year of publication of the source should be mentioned. For example, Sharma 2004 and 2007. The author is the same, but its publication is different. First publication 2004 and second publication 2007. Now we are going to conclude the outline of a research paper. That is the summary of a outline. If we talk about the summary of outline, our whole research paper is divided into 3 sections. three parts. The first part, preliminary section. The second part, main body. And the third part is reference section. Only to draw your attention, what is included in the preliminary section? In the preliminary section, the following points are included. Title page, we have already discussed. This is the heading. This is the title of your research paper. Heading indicate the subject. And the second one is declaration of the candidate. In that section, you have to honestly declare that you did this. Yes, I have done myself. You have to write this. It is not copied and imitate from where. It is my original creation. You have to declare like this. Then the recommendation. Sometimes there should not be recommendation. This section is necessary when, if there is your supervisor. If there is a supervisor, then recommendation is also necessary. In the recommendation section, your supervisor recommends that your research paper will fully for evaluation section. He recommend like this. In abstract section, this is the reflection of your research paper. It should be very short, no longer, perhaps not more than 1 page, and not more than 250 pages, and 250 words, and 3 to 5 keywords also. Acknowledgement. In this section, your gratitude and thanks to those who helped you during a research paper. You should not forget the persons, the people, the authority who helped you to complete your research paper. And under this acknowledgement, you have to write this. And the table of contents, list of the major sections you present in your research paper. You have to write this with page number. For example, introduction, methodology. Okay, these are the table of the contents up to references. And the list of the tables, it should be in the preliminary section. In the research paper, the researchers may use different tables. That list of the tables should be included in the preliminary section with page number. And the names of the table also are to be written here. The table indicate in the research paper with the name of the table and the page number included here. And the list of the figure. List of the figure like list of the tables. If you have used a figure in your research paper, you should include here with the name of the figure and the page number also. And abbreviation. If the researcher has used short form of different names, institutions, and companies in their research paper, while reading the research paper, the reader and the supervisor sometimes unable to know the abbreviation, unable to find out the meaning of the abbreviation, so that they should be written in this section. And the main body. In the main body, there are some points. The first one is the introduction. We have already discussed about the introduction section. In the introduction section, you have to write why and what you researched. In the literature review, I've already told you what have you found in the collected journals and research papers, and its strength and weakness, and the gap of the knowledge, and how they are useful in your study. You have to write in the literature review section. In the methodology sections, what and how did you do? You have to include research design, population, sample, size, then methods. You have to write here. In the result section, what you have found. But in the discussion section, relevance of your result, strength and weakness, you have to include it in discussion section. But in conclusion section, summary of the result and finding should be included. And the last one is the recommendation section. In that section, that needs to be done as a result of your findings in the recommendation. What have you found? Then what do you want to do with your findings? You have to request some authorities or to suggest some of the authorities what to be done in your finding. That thing should be included in the recommendation section. and the last one is the reference section. In the reference sections, there may be 3 subtopics. Appendices we have already discussed, where the graphs, tables, paragraphs, photos, they are kept. And in the reference sections, honestly, the researchers just include there what books, journals, and what the research papers he has used and abstracted main ideas from there. And there is one thing that we have not discussed previously, that is the glossary of the term. Glossary of the term means it is also the definition of the terminology that have used in the while writing the research paper. Definition of these terms should be written over there, but in every research paper glossary is not found. Then appendices and references in most research paper we have found, and glossary also to be written, but it is accordance with the nature and objectives of a research paper. Now, thank you for your patience. Namaste, once again namaste from Nepal, and references I used there. So I am going to stop my sharing. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
okay, ma'am. So at last, I want to request all the participants, as I have already told, within this 1 hour time, it was quite difficult for me to discuss and to tell everything, to make capable all the participants to write a research paper. Actually, it was only the outlines of the research paper and tips to fulfill the outlines that I have completed. But if I get opportunity next times, and the same participants or other participants will be participated, I will really make you assured that with the 7 days and every day's 2 hours workshop I will launch, and within this 14 hours you will be able to write a research paper, any research paper according to your interest and desire. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your presentation with our participants. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences. We believe our participants can benefit from the methods you have suggested for writing a research paper, and we hope to use your suggestions for our future campaigns. Thank you, sir, again for your contribution on behalf of Rand Publishers. Participants, the session is open for discussion. Participants can now unmute and ask any relevant questions, or you can just post the queries in the chat box. Thank you. Now the feedback link for today's session as well as the participation certificate will be sent to the email IDs of the registered participants only. Thank you all once more for joining this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.